Hey everybody, welcome to the garden. I hope you're having a great day. Shout out to the lemon and lime lovers and everybody in between. It's time for the market recap. All right, so let's just hop right on into this. Wow, what a day in crypto and what a calm day in stocks. So we're going to touch on both obviously when we get towards Bitcoin and we get, looking at the Dow, the S&P and the NASDAQ. But starting off with the dollar still continuing to play out this bullish structure. So we did have that continuation down. So I have been saying, watch for this trend line here, this thin black trend line here, the parabolic trend line to break. And that's what we're seeing here. So we broke down, and for us to then come down and tap the lower part of this bullish structure. Now, one of two things is going to happen here. Okay, I should say one of three things is going to happen here. So, firstly, and what's in my opinion most likely, we actually do see a bit of a pop to the upside in the dollar. So essentially, something like this. So we got very close to the low side. I would say we pretty much tapped that zone of the low side of the bullish structure. We come up and then we start making our way slowly towards 111, 110.8, and 110.5, and then in this general zone we'll likely find some resistance. Okay, and then we should have a continuation lower, and eventually over the coming weeks, I do want to see dollar tapping 108 and potentially even lower. The potential even lower if we do have a bit more of a trending move to the downside, going back down towards 106. All right, so that's the first path I'm seeing. Second path I'm seeing is that we hit the lows here and then we actually have an extended move up to actually come back towards the top side of this bullish structure. Now if that actually happens, we do want to be on lookout for it to break up. All right, the probabilities are high that this bullish structure, if it validates, it's on the side of a breakout to the upside. Okay, and if that happens, then we're looking at a serious trend continuation. All right, and we're talking getting past 115 and eventually making it towards the 118s, the 120s. So if this is going to happen, it will likely mean as we approach December that there's word coming out that the Fed is going to stay super hawkish. In my opinion, that's not going to happen, but that would be what I would think the chart would look like if that's the tone that becomes expected based off of news publications or just small snippets of quotes coming out of the Fed chairs. Okay, and then third, what we can see is a breakdown. All right, we can see a breakdown and a heavy breakdown if we start getting news of not just dovish behavior coming out of the Fed, but a serious rate cut that does come in December. So instead of hiking, they do cut. And when I say cut, I don't mean actually cut. I should rephrase that. Pretty much lessening the hikes. So cutting the hikes. So instead of 75 basis points, we're talking about 50 basis points or 25 basis points. And I personally do think that it's not out of question that we do see a 50 basis point rate hike rather than a 75 basis points in December. But we don't want to guess what the Fed's going to do. I'm just fairly confident that we are going to start hearing from the Fed policy changes or insinuations of pivoting from their current policy. So just be on the lookout, and we're starting to get that sign in the dollar chart. This is starting to look like a potential topping structure if we lose this level here. Okay, and again, when I say topping, I just mean the short to midterm. In the long term, go on the weekly and monthly chart, the Dixie, it's bullish. All right, so next, let's take a look at the Dow. So, beautiful. Dow hit the trend line, that was this descending trend line, had a bullish retracement, tapping the top side of this bullish FFG, and then boom, finding the strength to come up higher and had a beautiful close above that level today. And it just looks like continuation to the upside coming. And I would look for this high pivot here, the liquidity that's pulling above that level here, to be the next target. So we're looking at the Dow potentially getting back up towards 34.4 to 34.350 ish. So we're looking at a nice move coming, and it should lead to a nice couple days in crypto, but we'll get into that. There's a couple of fundamental issues happening in crypto right now, I'm sure you're aware. Next is S&P. So S&P having that move back up, and coming to fill out this bearish FFG that was made right here off this candle. And again, if Dow has that continuation to the upside, look for S&P to make it back towards this resistance level here at 39.18 to eventually break and then start trying to fill out this bearish FVG right here. Okay. And then next is the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ having more of a double bottom structure, though it did hold this low pivot right here. But this is more of a double bottom structure. And right now at minor resistance should break through. In my opinion, you're probably going to see Dow come test out this descending trend line or the descending top side of this descending channel. Okay. So if we get back there and the Dow's not at 34.4, 34.2, we're probably going to break through and eventually make our way towards this high side here at 12,200 to eventually 12,500-ish, the lower green zone there, okay? And then next, let's take a quick look at gold and silver. Or rather, let's do oil. No, we'll do gold and silver. No, we'll do oil first. I changed my mind. So look at oil first. Oil filled that fair value gap. And again, it's still within this potential up, bearish rising structure. Okay, had a really nice day last week on Friday, I believe, or that might have been Thursday. Let's see. No, that was Friday. So really nice day on Friday. Yesterday was actually, unfortunately, that is a bit of a topping candle. So we got to be kind of careful with that. And today kind of confirmed that. So whenever you see like a doji after this is kind of a lackluster rise, but a rise, you see a doji, it just leads to the potential of a 3-candle topping pattern. So you have bullish candle, doji, which means slow down, and then you potentially look for a bearish candle next, and then a bearish engulfing like this would contribute to that sort of pattern. So we are potentially going to be breaking down lower and making our way down towards the 75s, but it's too early to say. We are in potentially a rising bearish structure. We did tap the same resistance zone here again. So again, we have a lot of potential, signals that we are potentially looking at a short-term top here and coming down lower to maybe grab the liquidity under here. And then we may find the fuel to go up higher from there. Because overall, just like the dollar, I do see oil on the much larger, macro chart to show showing signs that we're probably going to be watching oil go up for most of this decade. Okay, we'll have some time, months to maybe a year or two, where you'll see oil probably retrace back. But overall, this is quite bullish. But the retracement back can come all the way back down to 60, and maybe even a little bit lower, and still hold that bullish structure on the monthly. So there's plenty of room to the downside for oil. But I'm a little skeptical as well because, as I've been saying, as the times get colder, as we go into colder months, there's gonna be a supply shock of oil, in my opinion, just because of all the geopolitical nonsense, both in the U.S. and in Europe, and I think that may end up shooting price up. But again, we'll see how that all plays out. All right, next is gold and silver. So gold having that beautiful breakout, okay, actually didn't even come back to retrace so far. So far, it's just shooting right on out, which, again, I was saying, be on the lookout for. And if you're in the service, or at least you're participating in the free trial, you saw I closed out a bunch of long positions on GDX and SLV. Well, this is why, because we hit that break up and they broke up, and that's all I've been waiting for. And now we're still in the GLD position, and it should get very interesting as the gold ounce chart, as we're looking at right now, continues higher. I'm loving what I'm seeing, and this daily candle closed just absolutely powerfully. Okay, so just look for that continuation higher. Obviously, we're getting very close to this high pivot here, so there will be some liquidity here, but in my opinion, we're probably going to blast through it pretty decisively to start attacking these higher pivots up here and up here. Next is silver. Same thing in that expanding microphone structure, right? And GDX and SLV are in the same exact structure you see here, and they're all at the same level, the top side of that expanding structure. So I took my profits off of there. We're going to see, will this have that continuation to the upside and break through this pattern, or will it respect it and come back to fill out, this FFG that just formed? So these actually got filled that we just had. I'm taking those off now. And now you have a bullish one right here. Will this get filled before we break up higher, or test this zone again, or are we going to come all the way back down, test this trend line, this rising trend line here, lose it, and then eventually make our way down towards the 16s, 14s, around that zone, the bottom side of the microphone structure. Right now, I have to say, it's more likely that we do see us come back down, fill out this FEG, and then if the dollar continues to weaken, then we'll probably not even get towards this ascending trend line. We'll find enough down here to again push up higher and potentially test out the top side again of this structure. Because remember, it's expanding. So every time it goes back to this trend line, it's taking out the previous high here. All right, so lastly, let's take a look at Bitcoin. And what a day in crypto world. So let's take a quick look at Bitcoin, see what's going on. So looking at Bitcoin, what a dump. I'm not. Oh man, okay. Some of my drawings, I guess, disappeared. That's okay. So essentially, we had this breakout right here. So let's pull this down here and look at that. So what have I been saying? So this to me is a confirmed breakout. Now, obviously, we're having this major dump, and there's a lot of issues around that. One is fundamentally FTX, the exchange, if you're not aware, seems to have gone insolvent, and Binance potentially is buying them. They're in those talks. They're still doing their due diligence. They've announced that both parties have announced that they are in that space that they're going through. Probably Binance is going through FTX's books, seeing exactly what their situation is, and they're detailing a plan. And as long as it's not something that they can't get under control, they'll go through with the deal. Obviously, if it's something where they're like, oh, this is not, this is too much, similar to what FTX tried to do with Celsius and they walked away, then we're probably going to see more pain. But if this goes through, things should start to stabilize. But take a look at this. Broke out this trend line, okay? Had the higher high. So we broke through, had to close above the trend line, had multiple daily closures above that breakout candle. And then from the retracement, right now, we've come back towards this trend line. So we filled this FEG right here, and now we're back at this trend line, tapping the zone again. Unfortunately, and you never like to see it, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, is now we're seeing price tapping under these low wicks again. So depending on how today closes, we may get a super bearish candle. It's already pretty bearish, but a really bearish candle that closes under these lows. So if it closes under these lows, it's going to be very difficult to hold this wick right here. Okay, this wick right here. We already tapped under it, but if we start closing under these wicks, it's going to be very hard for the bulls to hold this level here at 17,585. Now, tapping under is fine because what happened? Well, a lot of longs that may have been opened here, over leveraged or not, probably were either stopped out, or if they were over leveraged, liquidated from this tap down. Now, if we're going to stabilize and then start oscillating around this zone here and potentially showing a structure after a breakout that's bullish, that's not bad at all. Okay, that's not bad at all. If you're in the Discord, you're probably aware I actually did another add-on to Bitcoin around 18,000. So I'm seeing the potential of this, and it's a good bargain. That's mainly the main reason. It's a good bargain. You don't really get these candles that often. So I look to bank on it when I see it. But this is potentially what we could be looking at if we do just see that trending move down. So the continuation down, we lose this whole structure we've been building for months. Then obviously look out for 16,000 and then eventually 14,000. Okay, if we do lose this entire structure, just to put in perspective, this has been building out since June. Right, since May, June, around that area. So June, yeah. So June, July is when this pretty much started. If we do lose out on this, you are looking at least probably at 14K, 16K, 17K. They're going to be levels of interest, but after losing this, it's going to be a lot of panic. So it's probably going to move down to 14K, and then eventually we may get another consolidation similar to this. How long that consolidation will be, well, we'll have to wait and see. But other than that, the breakout actually still hasn't been invalidated yet. That's the crazy part. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. It's not invalidated yet, but we're on the precipice of it being invalidated and of this potential bottoming structure to fail. All right. The probabilities are no longer extremely high for a continuation to the upside. All right. And that's okay. It happens. It's one of the reasons why in the services we are short. We were short a lot of things, closed out, took a lot of profits from those, and it's just opened us up to potentially get better positions in a lot of these assets. But make sure to watch the crypto recap. I'm going to go over that in more detail, the things I closed, and then things I added onto and opened up today. All right, everyone, that's it. That's it for the market recap. Thanks for being in the Discord. Thanks for participating in the free trial if you are. And thanks for watching the video. Make sure if you like this content to give me a like, give me a sub, share it around, and ask me any questions if you have any, especially in the Discord. All right, everyone. Remember, be patient, be vigilant, and be nimble. I love you guys. Take care.